In this lecture, I'm going to show you how to set up a doubly linked list. Now, before we get started, if you watched my previous lecture on the singly linked list, these two names seem identical, and you might thinking, well, they're probably very similar in that case, and they are. There's only one subtle difference between these two, and that is that the doubly linked list has an additional property, and that is a previous property. So this additional property allows a doubly linked list to not just go in one direction like the singular linked list, which had a next property. So singular was only able to advance or move from one node to another in one direction, moving. If you can imagine, like a nodes to the right. If you were to start at the beginning of a node, which starts at the left hand side, and then you're trying to go through this list, you're moving through this list one by one to the right, and that was the only direction you would be able to go through with a singly linked list. However, the doubly has the previous property as well. So you might be saying to yourself, well, why even use the singly linked list if we can do a doubly linked list, which allows us to have that more of a flexibility and move not only to the right but also to the left, right? Well, the drawback to that is memory, because we're keeping track of the previous, so now we have additional memory to make use of. So that is the drawback. Okay, but aside from that, everything else is pretty much the same. It's very identical. Okay, but what we're gonna do for now is we're gonna like every other data structure, we're gonna do the setup. Right, we're gonna have to set up the class. In this case, it's a doubly linked list. So let me go through my pseudocode here. So we're gonna create two classes, and again, we are gonna create a node class just like we did with the singly linked list. And this time we're going to create a doubly linked list class as well. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the node class. So here I'm going to start with our node class. Class node. Set up our constructor. And this constructor will take in a value. So when we create a new node, we're going to pass in a value. And this will have the property of, it will have the value as a prop, and this will also have the previous. So this is that addition that we have with the doubly as compared to the singly. So we're gonna have a previous, and by default I'm gonna set that to null, and we are going to have a next. So this property is the same as the singly linked list. All right, we are going to set that to null as well. All right, so this is the addition. All right, this is the difference. So with this node, we're going to have a previous as well. So this way we can move in both directions if we want to. All right, so now that we have the node class in place, here we have create the doubly linked list class. All right, so below that we're going to do doubly linked list constructor. This will not take any arguments, and this one right here is exactly the same as the singly linked list. We're going to keep track of the head, the tail, and the length of the list. So the head, by default null, tail null, and finally the length of the list, and by default initially set it to 0. All right, so now let's go ahead and create an instance of this doubly linked list. We're not gonna create no node, but we're just gonna create the list, new doubly linked list, and it doesn't take any arguments. And all I want to do here is do a console log of this list, save, and I'm going to expand my console and run the code. Okay, identifier list has already been declared. Let's see what we did here. Class node. New doubly linked list. All right, where is this error at? Prev no class doubly linked constructor. Okay, new doubly linked list, doubly linked list, and console log. Let me see here. Let me run this code. Has already been declared. All right, I think what I'm gonna have to do here is I'm gonna refresh my page. Wait, let me do something here. Let me refresh this here. Go back. All right, start this over. All right, so now I'm gonna run the code again. There we go. All right. So the code was okay. It was just this weird little thing with the browser. I just had to refresh it. All right, so as you can see here, we have our doubly linked list, and this is it sets up our initial state, which we had in the constructor here, with the head and tail being null and the length being 0 right over here. All right, so that is our basic setup, and we'll continue on in the next lecture.